Hey everyone, today we're going to start a new series of videos. It's Jestor for Beginners, and we're going to start today talking about Kanban or pipeline or board or any way that you want to call this. In Jestor, we call this Kanban. So we are going to show you how to build this and how to add, for example, conditional, a color conditional, customize the style of your Kanban. How can you use this in a process? How can you access SLA data or create multiple Kanbans and so on? So today we're going to talk about the basic steps of creating a Kanban and also how does this work. So everything on Jestor is always based on a table. So you have your database, which is also no code. You create your fields, and everything else, all your app, it's a combination of fields and blocks that you can extract this information in a different form. So, for example, here we are seeing a Kanban, but actually each card is a record on a database. You can use the database, the table. You can use this as a list and so on, but in this process, in this app that we are seeing here, we are going to show you how to use the Canva uh, feature inside Jestor, and also some tips on how to use this on a process for a company. So we are going to go feature by feature, show you a few examples. And if you have any questions or suggestions, or if something you didn't understand something, just comment here on the video, and we are going to reply to you as soon as possible. So, Cruz, uh, let's just start with a quick tour of the Canva, and later on we can just start from scratch and build it. Maybe build a table or build a Canva using uh, the the uh, the the builder, or starting from scratch, the way that you believe it's best for our viewers.
Cool. So let's start with a quick tour. So you can see on my screen that we have a Kanban board. Like Bruno said, in other software, you may know this as a Kanban board, just as a board, a pipeline. So there are many different names that you see in other software for this kind of feature. Here we call this a Kanban board. So basically, the idea is that you have records and they are seen as cards in a board, and you have them separated by stages, which are basically the columns, right? So in this case, we have a project board. We have the stages planned, in progress, done, and archived. And the idea is that you can look at the cards and see chronologically in which stage that card or that record is in, right? So it's going to work just like most people who are used to business process management tools know how a pipeline works, right? So we have the cards here. You can see that if I hover my cursor over the card, it highlights it. I can also click and drag the card to different stages, though that is also customizable, and I'm going to get to that later. And if we click on the card, we have more information, right? So we have more information than we have just on the cover of the card itself, right? You can see that we have some other things here. We have SLA metrics here. You can see the average time a card spends in a stage. You can see the minimal and maximum amount of time that a card spends on a stage. And when I click on this card, it opens up. I have the information here, and I can also see the SLA, more information about the SLA, about that specific card in this panel, right? So that's the general idea. I'm not going to spend too much time just showing the Kanban board because we're going to build it step by step, and we're going to go over all of its features. So it's going to be a little bit more clear what we can do with it, right? So this is kind of the final product, right? So this is a project template. So this is the Kanban board done, right? But what we're going to do now is create a Kanban board from scratch. And we have kind of two ways. We have more than two ways, but there are two things that we can two ways we can approach this. Basically, like Wallach said, we see a Kanban board in Jestor, and the Kanban board is the view, right? Is the way that you're looking at the data. The Kanban board is actually pulling information from a database, from a table. So you can see here on the side menu that we left the project database here, and you can see that it has all of the information from the Kanban board. So this Kanban board is just pulling information from that database. This means that you can approach this in two ways. The first way is to create the table first. So this is the way we actually recommended to that you think about the structure first, because this is going to make sure that you have something with a better, more scalable structure, usually, right? So you can create the table first, and then you create an app with the Kanban board. So this is one way to go. The other way to go is to just create a Kanban board using the action bar, for example, or here in the create icon, right? We have this new blank Kanban, and this is going to create the Kanban, the app with the Kanban board, and also it's going to create the database behind it, right? So this is what we're going to show right now, but you have those two ways of doing, right? So I'm going to create a new Kanban board. I'm going to just show you guys. I went here in this icon on the top right corner, clicked on it, and I can click on new blank Kanban board. So this is going to create a new app with a Kanban board. We just have to wait for it to create. There you go. So what this actually did was create an app with the Kanban board, and it also created a database for me, right? So this Kanban board is just pulling information from this database, right? So it came with some um, um, basic structure, foundational structure. It has a title, a description, an owner, attachments, stages, deadlines, and if I click here on the Kanban board and open a card, you can see that I have this information here, right? But we can also go to the database and create more stuff, right? So if you go this way, you're going to have like this Kanban board right off the gate. It's already built up with the database. But we could have also taken a different approach of creating a database. So I'm going to create the table first, and I'm going to call this Kanban table, for example. And this is going to give me a linear structure, right? It's not going to have all of the structure that I had when I created the Kanban board directly, because the table database only comes with just a title field, right? And if we think about the Kanban board, there's one field that is required, which is the stages. We need a single option field to say which stages I have in a Kanban board. So I'm going to create a single option field. I'm going to call it stages. And I'm just going to create some stages here. So we have new, we have in progress, and we have done. So there you go. Those are the stages, and I can already activate the SLA. So this is going to keep track of how much time a card or a record spends in each stage, right? So I'm going to create this. There you go. So we have the database. I'm just going to fill out some information here. So record number one, record number two. So we have some dummy data to see the Kanban board as we do it. And there you go. So what I'm going to do now is create a new app. And I'm going to go call this Kanban live stream. So basically what I'm creating here is an app, right? Because in Jestor, you can have different components in the same page, right? Usually in other software, you have a page which is just the Kanban board. Here you could have a Kanban board with a chart, with an indicator. You can mix those components together. We're not going to mix them right now. We're just going to do the Kanban board, but this is why you create an app page, right? Because the idea is that you could have more than one component on the same page. So now that I have the page, I can click here on Smart Kanban, or I can go to the side panel and select Smart Kanban as well. It's going to do the same thing, right? It's going to create the Kanban board here on the page. There you go. And you can see that it pulled the data from the database that I've just created. It did this automatically because this is the last table that I've created, right? But if it pulled the wrong table, or if I wanted to create a Kanban board for a different set of information, I could just click here and select the correct table, right? So I can name this component. I don't have right now, I don't have any reason to change the default name, so I'm just going to leave it as is. And I have to select not only the table, but the single option field that has the stages. So I've only created this stages single option field, but if I had a different single option field there, for example, priority or importance or something like that, I could have a different Kanban board view, which have had these options as stages. So I could have a column for low priority, one from for medium priority, and one for high priority, right? But I'm going to select stages here. And I can select the fields that are going to appear on the cover of the Kanban board, right? So one thing that I'm going to do here, I'm going to click on go to select table. So I have the database itself open on a different tab, right? Because we're going to add more fields here. But we could also do it directly from the Kanban board, right? And I'm going to show you guys that this is also going to reflect on the database. So because I don't have much information here, because I just created like a blank table, let's think about some information that we might want here. So for example, I'm going to click here on create new field, and I'm going to create a text field that is rich text format. So it's a little bit, there are more tools to work with, and I'm going to call this description. And this is going to create the field in the Kanban board, but it also created here. I think I just have to update to refresh here. And I can keep creating the fields, right? So for example, I might want to have a user field for owners. So the people who are responsible for that card, right? I'm going to use a multiple user field, and I'm going to go with owners. oops, owners. There you go. And you can see that everything that I've created there in the Kanban board is reflecting here. I could also create it here and then pull to the Kanban board, right? But there you go. I have the fields here. So I want to have the owners and I want to have the date of creation for the card, right? There you go. So I'm just going to click on save for now. So if I open here this record, I have here owners, for example. I'm going to select myself here. I can click on save, and there you go. It's going to reflect on the cover of the card here. So basically, the first thing that I want to do is create all of the fields that I want in this process, right? But we're going to move on with the customization because everything that you're seeing here, the colors, the form when I open the card, how the card is going to open, if it's a center window, if it's a side panel, all of this is customizable as well, right? So let's move on. So this part, like we said before, is where I select the fields that I want to appear on the cover of the card here, right? So if I remove here owners, you're going to see that I was removed here. And if I click on it again, here I am. There you go. So I can rearrange them as well. And this is also going to reflect here to the side, right? So this part is the cover of the card. I could have filters here. For example, maybe I only want to see cards here where I'm the owner. So I could create this logic. For example, owners is the logged user, for example. There you go. Or maybe I only want to see important things. Or maybe I only want to see deals which are over $10,000 and so on. I'm not going to add any filters here, but you have this option. And also you can sort the cards, right? Right now, I only have one card per stage, but if I had dozens of cards, I could sort them by priority, I could sort them by amount, I could sort them by user, and so on. So you can have a way to sort, to order the cards in the columns, right? And also, if we go to the next feature here, we can change the columns here in the Kanban board. Right now, it's basically showing all of the possible stages in the stage field, right? But maybe I don't want to see things that are already done, for example. So I can click on change the Kanban columns and I can remove done. There's also a column that it's always there by default, which is uncategorized, which are cards that are not in any stage because a card may be created without stage. So this shows by default, and maybe I don't want to see that, so I can remove this as well, right? So this basically allows me to select the stages that I want to see if I don't want to see all of the possible stages, and also I can reorder them like this. There you go. There you go. So now we go to style. We have some settings here for style. I can add a different background color just for the Kanban board. So for example, I'm going to select a different color here, and you can see that I've changed the color. But if I resize the Kanban board, you can see that this color is only affecting the Kanban board, not the rest of the app, right? So I'm going to remove the color. And also, if I had a color, I could just click here on transparent background, and you can see that if I toggle this off, it's white because this is the color that is in the Kanban board. And if I click here on transparent background, it's just going to let me see through to the background color or the background image if I had an image set as a background, right? So let's just resize this. You can also have a background blur. It's not possible to toggle this on right now because I don't have a background image here, but I can show you guys later how this looks like. So if I had a background image for the app instead of a solid color, I could click here on background blur, and this is would give me a blurry kind of glassy effect to let me see the background image in some manner, right? I can change the card color. So right now it's this dark color here. I could change it to be white or any other color here, for example. So you can see that I can change the default color of the card. And I say default color because we can have conditional colors as well, but I'm going to show you guys later. Then we have some things which are not exactly aesthetic, but they are intended for changing the features, the functionalities of the Kanban board, right? So if I see this add card button, these are basically these plus icons that let me create a card directly to a stage, right? So if I toggle this off, you're going to see that I don't have the option to create a card here directly in this stage. And this is useful because sometimes you're feeding a Kanban board with a separate form, or maybe you have a button here up top to create a card directly on the first stage. So you can disable this and not allow people to create the card directly on the Kanban board, right? We have hide card empty fields, which is always on by default, right? And this affects the cover of the card, right? You can see here on the first card that I have an owner, it's myself, so I'm appearing here. But these cards here don't have owners, so nothing is showing. But if I toggle this off, you can see that it shows that I have an empty field here, which is the owner's field. In these cards, they are empty. And to show this, I'm also going to talk about the next one, which is show field icon and label. This is off by default, but if I toggle this on, I can see which fields these information relates to, right? So I can see that this empty fields, this empty value here actually pertains to owners, for example, and this date pertains to the date of creation of the record of the card, right? So I can toggle this on and off, and you guys are going to see the effects. Oh, there you go. I have this option for title highlight, which is basically this. When I click here on the three dots on the card, I have to save here. Just a second. I can highlight a card with a custom color, right? So maybe this card here, record number 2, is important and I want to highlight it in some manner manually. I can just click here on the three dots and select a color, for example. There you go. And this is the title highlight. Similarly, I have the stage border. So maybe I want to color all of a stage just because I want to, at a glance, know what I'm looking at. So for example, I want the new stage to be like painted blue here or green. I can select a color, and this is going to envelop all of the cards on that specific stage, right? And I can also remove the color here. There you go. So let's keep editing the Kanban board. And finally, regarding style, I can select the size of the card. And this is not only aesthetic, this is not only something regarding appearance, because you can see that the larger the card is, the less stages I can see on my screen, right? So I personally like to leave the cards at small so I can see more stages. Right now, I only have 3 stages, but it's not uncommon to have 5, 6 stages in the same process.
If
So
you don't
with
have
the
lots of stages, maybe you want to add like a chart or anything else on the side. Maybe you have only 3 stages, but then you want to add something there. It's you have more space for it as well.
exactly, but it's entirely up to you. You can always select the size that better fits you. Cool. So the next feature is conditional colors. And this is just like the title said, I can change the color of the card based on conditions. So this is very useful because, for example, I can do something like I always want to highlight a card with yellow if I'm the owner, for example, right? So owners is the logged user. The logged user is, in this case, myself. So you can see that this card here, I am the owner, so now it's yellow, right? So this is what conditional colors do, right? So maybe I have in my CRM, I want deals that are over $10,000 to be like purple, or maybe if I have a table of receivables, I want to make it so receivables that are pending and are past their due date, they become red. I can change the color of things like that. So you can see that this is what conditional card colors do in the Kanban board. I can toggle the stage indicator for the SLA indicator here, right? So you can see it's up here. So the average time that the cards spend on the stage. So I can toggle this on and off, right? Um, and I can also change some settings regarding um, some powers here in the Kanban board. For example, I can make it so the card is read only. So this makes it so people cannot change, right? They cannot open the card, right? So maybe you only want people to see the current stage of requests or features or something like that. You don't want people to be able to click on the card and see the information. You don't want them to be able to create new stages. So you can see that now I can only just like click and maybe copy the information from the cover, but I cannot open or edit the card at all, right? So this is what read only does. Let's reactivate this. So let's change it. Oops. There you go. The next setting is allow data download. So basically, if I hover my cursor here, you're going to see that there's no icon here up top. But if I click on this, there's this download icon. And this is basically going to allow you to click on here and create a report. The report is going to be a spreadsheet. It's going to be a CSV of the information in the Kanban board. It's not going to pull all of the information of the card. It's going to pull the information from the cover of the card, right? So if I clicked here, I would receive a spreadsheet with record 1, record 2, and record 3, and the information regarding owners, the title of the card, and when it was created, right? So this is what allow data download does. It basically allows me to create a report based on the cover of the cards, right? The next setting is disable drag and drop. So basically, you can see that while this is off, I can basically just, oops, let me leave building mode. So while this is off, I can just change cards by dragging. I can change the stages just by dragging the cards here. There you go. But if I disable it, I'm not going to be allowed to do that. So if I disable drag and drop, I'm going to save here. I'm not able to drag it. This is different from the read only because in when I activated read only, I wasn't able to open the record, right? Um, when I disable drag and drop, I'm literally just disabling the power to move a card from the Kanban board, right? So let's edit this further. And the last setting here is the Kanban editing. So you can see that when this is activated, I can create new stages directly from the Kanban board. There are some other options here on the three dots as well. So if I disable this, I'm not able to change the structure of the Kanban board from the Kanban board itself, right? So this is going to remove some shortcuts from the interface. There you go. And the last part here is the creation and update form. And what is this? Let me just activate the add card button. There you go. In Jestor, in the context of the Jestor platform, form is not just the like a public form that you can send to people and so on. A form is the window that shows when you're creating a card, for example, this one, and when you're opening a card, right?
Basically, almost every time that you're editing information from your record, from a card, whatever, you're using a form somehow. And this form could be, as Fernando said, could be for creating new records, creating new cards, or updating records. The same form that you're seeing here as an open card, it could also become a public form with the power for the public users to update this record and so on. So forms in Gesture, they are one of the most important parts of the system, and sometimes it could be confusing because usually if you have like a Kanban or whatever, it will always have a dedicated form on for that. Maybe you can change a little bit, but that's it. On Jastor, you can use forms for this, but for in lots of different situations. So it could be confusing because there's more options. However, in the end, gives you even more power to customize your process, to make sure that you have the conditions that you want, to make sure that you have the style that you want, that you have all the information, all the form tools also there on the card when you open it. So forms, it's really important, and also could it seems to be like a lot when you're starting using Jasper. However, once you understand it, it's way better than just having a dedicated form for your process.
Exactly, because it gives you a lot of flexibility, right? And we're going to have a different session, a different live stream session just for forms. But I just want to show you guys that basically when I'm creating a card, it's a creation form. When I'm editing a card, it's an update form. And there are some options here. So basically, you can see that I can um, set what I want as a creation form and as an update form. And if I open this, you can see that I have some options here. For example, I have block form, import from app page, and default table form. So what do these three different options mean? Block form means that this Kanban board is going to have a specific form just for itself. It's the way that it's set up currently, and I can just edit the form here directly from the component, right? Import from app page is maybe I have a form, for example, I have a public form that I've created just so other team members can create requests, and I just want to import the form that I've already created. I can do that. I can select a different app page and select the form that I want to use. And we have the default table form. So every table inside Jestor has inherent forms, right? They have their own form. And basically, default table form just means that I'm going to use the form that is inherent to the table. I'm going to keep this as block form here. So basically, what I'm doing right now, I'm saying this Kanban board is going to have its own custom form, and I'm going to customize it now. So you can see that I have the window style. So for example, I can have a center window or I can have a side panel. I'm going to change the side panel just so you guys can see. And I can basically set up a behavior for when I submit the form. So I'm just going to save this just so you guys can see that I've changed the way to see the form, and there you go. You can see that now it's a side panel instead of being here as a center window. So I'm going to edit this form again, and basically I'm going to edit the form. I can change the title. So for example, I can click here and do something like new request. Use this form to create a new card. And I can select the fields that people will have access to when creating a new card. So for example, I want people to be able to name the card. So I'm going to select title, set the owners, and also add a description. And also I can, for example, say that the title is mandatory, it's required. So there you go. We're going to have a separate live stream for forms. It's just to show you guys. And also I can customize the colors. So I'm just going to change the colors here just so you guys can see how it works. There you go. So now when I try to create a new card, there you go. You can see the form looks like this now. Similarly, we can do the same for the edit form. For the update form, you can see that it looks like this currently. So we're going to edit this as well. So we're going to go all the way down there, and we have the record update form. This has a difference here, because you can see that not only can I edit the form like we did with the creation form, but I can select the tools that I'm going to be able to use when I open the card. So if I click on the card, I'm in editing mode. I can select the tools that I want to be able to access. So I can remove some of them, but I'm going to leave chat, tasks, and SLA. And also for the window style, I have some other options, right? I have the center window with 2 panels. It's the double window, but I could also have 3 windows, 4 panels, and so on. I'm going to select triple just so you guys can see how it works. So I'm going to save. There you go. So if I open this card, you can see that I have 3 panels here, and I have just the tools that I've selected previously, right? So SLA, chat, and tasks, for example. And just to finish this part, I'm going to edit the Kanban board. And I can go here, edit block. The title, I can do a fixed title, or I can just select the title of the name of the card as the title. And now I can keep adding the fields that I want people to be able to see when they open the card, right? So I'm going to edit this just a bit further just to show you guys how it can look like. So I have the title, I have the description, I have owners, I have who created, when they created. I'm going to add, for example, inline blocks here. So created by and created at are right next to each other. And I'm going to change the stages. So I see the stage as a button-like field, right? So I'm just going to change the colors now. Have the button color, there you go. And I'm going to add a title color as well. There you go. So now when I open the record, you can see that it looks like this now. So basically I can customize what appears when I open the card itself. There are two other things that I want to show you guys. First, one of the things that I want to show, I have to create a new field here. So I'm going to edit the Kanban board, and I'm going to create an image field. So there you go. And I'm going to call this cover. And I'm going to get some stock image here, right? But before I do that, I'm just going to edit the form so I can add an image here. There you go, the cover. Cool. So now what I'm going to do here is I got a stock image here. Oh, there you go. Cool. So I'm just going to open this card here and put the image here. So you can see that when an image field is on the cover of a card, this is the standard way of viewing the information. So it's just like a thumbnail here, which looks okay, looks nice, but we can do some other things with the image field. So for example, if I drag it all the way up to the top here, oops, you guys can see that it now looks like this. So this is kind of like a proper cover for the card itself. So this is pretty useful for example, content management, when you have like an actual cover image, so you can glance at the card and know what that card is about, right? But you can take this a step further, right? And I can also remove the other fields. And when I remove the other fields, the card basically is just the cover image. Again, this is useful for content management, for any sort of process in which just looking at an image is useful to know what that card is about, right? So you can do this as well. I'm just going to leave owners here. Oops. Owners. And I think that's it. So the last thing that I want to talk about here is, okay, so I've created this app, but maybe one thing that you're noticing is that there are no filters here, right? So there's no way to like quickly just see all of my cards or all of the important cards or anything like that. And that's because filters are not something specific to the Kanban. They're not just like inside the Kanban component. Filters are a separate component here. So for example, I have the search filter. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to create a custom filter, and then I can select the filters themselves. So I'm going to create two filters here. I'm going to create a general filter, which I'm just going to call filter. And it's a flexible filter. This is the default filter, which basically allows me to, on the go, create any kind of filter based on a table. And in this case, it's the Kanban table. And it's going to affect this Kanban component. And I'm also going to create a owner filter, and this is going to be a quick filter. So this is a faster way of filtering a specific type of information. So I just have to select the filter type as user. And when I select a user, I'm going to filter the Kanban board by the owner. There you go. So I'm just going to create this. And I can do this, for example. And there you go. So now I have a filter on my app page. I have the flexible filter, which is a general purpose filter. When I click on this, I can create the filter on the go, right? So this is a more general purpose thing. But I also have a quick filter here for the owner. So I can click here and it's only going to show the cards where I'm the owner, right? So you can have custom filters. You could have more than one filter component as well. But this is the way to go to create the filter. So we went feature by feature, and again, like you could we've shown you bits of the Kanban itself. So the idea is that you have something in mind. You can end up creating something like this, right? So this is more of a final product. I have the stages, I have the SLA, I have filters here. When I click on the card, I have all of the information. I have more fields, I have the SLA, and I have, for example, dashboards here in the top bar. So I just have to click here to see the information. So this is the general idea, right? So we've shown you bits of the Kanban board setting by setting, but the idea is that you can just use some of the settings to create a final version of the Kanban board that you need. So I think that's it on my end. But I don't know if you have anything you want to say about the Kanban board.
No, that's the idea of the basics, Jestor basics or Jestor for beginners. It's the idea is to show the basic features and the first steps using the Kanban and other structures that are related to this. And we can also do later on a live session with advanced features for the Kanban. But it's important to remember that the Kanban is always based on a table, and the Kanban always lives in on something that we call app page. So you can also create a Kanban straight from a table, adding a view. For example, you have a table, and you just want to see the table as a Kanban view. You can just add a view for your table, and you can add Kanbans inside your app as Cruz is showing here. Yeah, but if you just want a Kanban, you can also have it. It's just a Kanban, and it will automatically use all the information from your Kanban process to save inside a table and so on. So um, that's all for this gesture for beginners. If you have any questions or requests, please send us a message, a comment in this video, and don't forget to subscribe so you know when and what's the next live session that we will have. Um, Tomorrow we'll have another one. It's going to be about building a system from scratch. So if you have any suggestions, questions, please show up tomorrow or leave in the comments. See you later.
Bye.